Tamron, Meri, and the truth bomb heard round Coyote Pass. Guess who just stirred the pot and walked away with her head held high? Meri Brown. Yes, that Meri, who once found herself at the center of one of the most talked about chapters in the Brown family's history, has reemerged with receipts, reflections, and maybe even a little redemption. But this time she wasn't alone. In a conversation with none other than Tamron, the journalist who dared to ask the questions fans actually wanted answers to, Meri brought more than tea. She brought clarity, honesty, and the type of transparency that's been sorely missing from recent Sister Wives seasons. But let's rewind. A silent exit and the questions it left behind. We hadn't seen Tamron on a tell-all since her brief stint as host, an appearance many viewers still hail as the most honest, direct moderation the show's ever had. Her absence was never publicly explained, but Meri casually dropped the answer during a recent segment. I haven't seen Tamron since that last tell-all, Meri admitted, her tone calm but pointed. I was told she wouldn't be coming back. Let that sink in. Tamron, who conducted herself with grace, professionalism, and journalistic integrity, was let go not because she failed, but perhaps because she succeeded too well at her job. Asking the hard questions, Tamron didn't tiptoe. She didn't couch her questions in flowery language or let emotional vagueness substitute for accountability. She went there. During her tell-all, she turned to the Browns and addressed something fans had been wondering for years. Why did the legal marriage matter so much? Was there a deeper implication behind one wife holding the official title while the others remained spiritual partners? The only legal wife is the legal wife, Tamron said flatly in the now viral moment. And with that, the temperature in the room dropped. Kody bristled. Robyn looked stunned. But Tamron wasn't trying to offend, she was trying to clarify. This was not an opinion. It was a factual observation with legal and emotional weight behind it. Kody's reaction, defensive at best, but Tamron stood firm. It's that willingness to challenge the group's long-standing narratives that likely made her tenure short-lived. Reality shows often promise truth, but only the kind that doesn't shake the foundation too much. Coyote Pass, the end of a chapter. While all this unfolds, the physical and emotional landscape of Sister Wives has shifted. The much-discussed Coyote Pass property, once the family's supposed future, has officially been split and sold. Nothing was built. No dreams were realized. And like so many things in the Brown story, it ended not with a celebration, but a quiet, complicated goodbye. Janelle is living independently. Christine has found love and laughter in a new life. Meri has reclaimed her power and stepped into her own space. And now, what's left? Kody and Robyn, seemingly alone in their carefully curated corner of the world, are the final couple standing. But with few others willing to film with them, their storyline feels less like a continuation and more like an isolated echo chamber. Without the multi-wife dynamic, what is the heart of the show now? Are we watching the unraveling of a plural family, or just the aftershocks of a narrative that no longer fits its cast? The tell-alls. A lost opportunity. Let's talk about the tell-alls themselves. What started as a chance to confront hard truths has morphed into cautious conversations filled with generalities and unfinished thoughts. The current hosting style, though kind and thoughtful, often avoids confrontation in favor of comfort. But comfort doesn't always bring clarity. Tamron's exit highlighted a key question. Can a reality show evolve without challenging its own history? Or is it doomed to recycle safe stories in place of real transformation? Fans aren't asking for cruelty. They're asking for candor. A tell-all that doesn't challenge the cast or press for depth isn't a tell-all. It's a recap. And viewers are ready for something more. what the show could be. The truth is, Sister Wives still has something to say. There are themes here about relationships, identity, faith, heartbreak, and reinvention that are rich and relevant. But only if the show is brave was that bravery embodied. Her presence reminded viewers that dignity and directness aren't opposites. That accountability can be compassionate. That viewers deserve more than surface-level storytelling. Imagine a new season where those hard questions weren't off-limits, where the cast faced the past not with fear, but with openness, where the show honored its audience by showing the full story, not just the polished pieces. Meri, rising from the ashes. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of this new chapter is Meri herself. Once portrayed as emotionally adrift and uncertain, she now speaks with clarity. There's still pain, yes, but there's also perspective. And seeing her in conversation with someone like Tamron, who respects both the woman and the story, is a reminder of what the show could have offered all along. Real healing through real conversation. Meri doesn't need to be cast as a victim or a villain. She can simply be herself. Someone who endured, learned, and emerged with a voice that's finally being heard. Final thoughts. Let's get real. It's time. Time for the producers to trust their audience with the truth. Time to empower hosts who don't shy away from the hard questions. Time to let cast members grow without clinging to outdated narratives. Because reality TV only works when the reality part isn't edited out. Tamron Hall deserved better. So did the audience. So did Meri. And as the Brown family enters its next era, whatever that looks like, it's up to TLC to decide whether to keep polishing the past or finally let the present shine through. What do you think? Should Tamron return? Should the tell-all format change completely? And who would you trust to host a no-holds-barred, real conversation with the Brown family? Comment below, subscribe for more thoughtful breakdowns, and remember, being the legal spouse doesn't always make you right. It just makes the paperwork to candid truths. Tamron and Meri shake the foundation. For years, Sister Wives was about more than just plural marriage. It was about ideals, about family, about choosing a path that defied convention. But over time, that path grew rocky. And now, thanks to a moment between Tamron Hall and Meri Brown, a new chapter may finally be unfolding. One where the truth no longer hides behind polite nods and soft-spoken answers. This wasn't just another moment in reality TV. It was a shift, a turning point. And it happened not on the dusty grounds of Coyote Pass, but under the bright lights of a talk show set where questions had sharp edges and the answers had weight. The Tamron effect. Tamron Hall walked into the Sister Wives tell-all like she had something to prove, and she did. To the audience, to the production team, and perhaps most of all, to the cast. She didn't come to play therapist or referee. She came to ask the questions viewers had been shouting at their screens for years. When she sat across from Meri Brown, her tone was measured, but her intentions were crystal clear. Tamron wasn't there to poke at wounds. She was there to uncover truth. And Meri, perhaps for the first time in a long time, didn't flinch. "I haven't seen Meri since I hosted the last tell-all," Tamron said on her show months later. "I was told not to come back." That single line ricocheted across the fandom like a lightning bolt. Why would someone so professional, so respected, be asked not to return? The answer, it seems, lies in what she did right. She asked real questions. Meri's moment. Meri Brown had long been painted as the loyal wife, the quiet one, the woman still holding out hope that something in her family could be saved. But years of heartbreak, awkward camera moments, and cryptic confessional comments told a more complicated story. When Tamron asked Meri point-blank about the emotional distance in her marriage with Kody, There was no rehearsed answer. Meri didn't blink. She didn't deflect. "I was still there. He wasn't," Meri said simply. It was the kind of sentence that said everything without raising a voice. And then, quietly but powerfully, she backed Tamron's version of events. "I don't think he's a fan of yours," Tamron had said, smiling. "I don't think he is either," Meri replied. "But maybe that says more about him than about you." It wasn't an attack. It wasn't shade. It was a truth bomb delivered with the grace of someone who'd spent years walking through emotional landmines and had finally made it to the other side. Legal wives and legal truths. One of the most talked about moments in Tamron's original tell-all appearance came when she cut through the fog surrounding the legal dynamics in the Brown family. "How do you feel now that so much emphasis was placed on a legal document that legitimizes one wife of the four you had?" Tamron asked Kody. "You're offending me," Kody bristled. "It's not an opinion. It's a fact," Tamron replied. That exchange didn't just shake viewers. It rewrote the entire way fans saw the so-called spiritual equality that Kody had long insisted existed. Because when the chips were down, it was the legal marriage to Robyn that held weight, not just in the eyes of the law, but in the way Kody managed his relationships. And Tamron, with her calm, confident demeanor, was the first host to say it out loud. The fallout. After that tell-all aired, rumors swirled that Tamron had been quietly let go. The show moved on. New hosts took over. The questions became gentler. The cast, particularly Kody and Robyn, were rarely pushed. But the fans, they noticed. Online forums exploded with questions. Why was Tamron gone? Why was Meri the only one willing to tell the unvarnished truth? Why were the tell-alls suddenly bland? And then came the real twist. Meri left. Not just spiritually or emotionally, she officially separated herself from the shared family narrative. While others had moved on in subtle ways, Meri made it formal, with clarity and intent. And when she appeared again with Tamron, not as a cast member, but as a guest on Tamron's own talk show, it felt like a reunion with purpose. From Coyote Pass to clarity. Coyote Pass was once the promised land, a symbol of unity, the place where the Browns would build homes, raise families, and prove that plural love could work. But over time, that land became a metaphor for all that was left unfinished. No homes were built. No unity was found. By the time Meri and Tamron reconnected, the dream of Coyote Pass had dissolved into scattered pieces. Land sold, families fractured, stories rewritten. And maybe that's what made their conversation feel so powerful. It wasn't about dreams anymore. It was about reality. "You held people accountable," Meri told Tamron. "Some people don't like that." It was simple, honest, and in its own way, revolutionary. What Tamron Hall represented wasn't just professionalism. It was a refusal to settle for less than honesty. And Robyn Brown, in her quiet resilience, echoed that same sentiment. Together, they reminded viewers of what reality TV could be. Not just entertainment, but an exploration of truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable. And that's why their moment matters. Because for too long, the Sister Wives narrative has been carefully managed, with just enough drama to keep audiences watching, but never enough accountability to make real change. Tamron cracked that open. Meri stepped into it. And now the question is no longer, what will the family say? It's, what are they willing to admit? A new chapter. Whether Tamron ever returns to the tell-all stage remains uncertain. And Meri, now standing fully on her own, seems more focused on building a life rooted in peace than in revisiting the past. But the impact of their moment together continues to echo. Viewers are demanding more authenticity, more accountability, More space for women like Meri to speak their truth without fear of being silenced. And as for the rest of the Brown family, well, if they want to keep telling their story, they might want to remember. The audience has changed. We're no longer content with vague answers and soft edits. We want the real story, or none at all. Final thoughts. From the dust of Kody Pass to the clarity of daytime television, Meri and Tamron did something that reality TV rarely allows. They told the truth. Not the glossy version, not the PR-approved narrative, just the raw, complicated, necessary truth. And in doing so, they shook the very foundation of a show that had once prided itself on challenging the norm, only to become a reflection of the very systems it claimed to defy. If there's to be a future for Sister Wives, it won't come from rehearsed answers or protective edits. It'll come from moments like this, moments where women refuse to stay quiet, and where asking the hard questions isn't punished but praised.